What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, some of the information that's been announced for it, some of the hardware, the pricing, my thoughts on it. If I'm going to be picking one up, you'll have to wait and see. So it was revealed not long ago that the Switch 2 is actually releasing on June 6th. This is the exact same day as Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest kicks off, so I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing some cool announcements and shadow drops on that day. It would be nice and interesting if you've just picked one up to see these games that are being announced and then just drop onto your new system. So here in the UK, the base version of the Switch 2 is £395 to £400, or if you want the version that's bundled with Mario Kart World, it's around £429 to £439 depending where you shop. So overall, I think it's actually quite a good deal, and I think you'd be pretty stupid not to pick up the Mario Kart bundle unless you just have zero interest in Mario Kart at all. It's definitely going to be a fun, nice launch title to pick up and play with friends. I did like Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. I actually skipped it on the Switch, so now we've had such a time gap, it'd be fun to play a new Mario Kart. So a little bit of my history: I didn't get the first Switch until maybe a year into its lifespan, around the time Sword and Shield came out. That's the Pokemon games. And I actually got a Nintendo Switch Lite for my birthday and I absolutely loved it. I loved how light it was, how compact, and the color scheme. I had the turquoise version, and yeah, I did put quite a lot of time into it, and a lot of the time I actually put in within the first couple of months was me just playing Fallout Shelter on it. If you know me and the channel, you know I'm more on the higher end of the tech. I always like to be on the bleeding edge of tech with PC hardware and stuff, so you'll notice that a lot of the time I won't play a game until it's like at its peak best way of playing it. That's why I never played The Witcher 3 for like 5 years. I still haven't played Cyberpunk 2077, and that was the same with the Switch. I was just expecting that there was going to be an upgraded model that was going to look and play better. So things like Breath of the Wild actually took me around 3 or 4 years to even think about testing. There were so many rumors over the years of the Nintendo Switch Pro, whether it was coming, if it was real or not, and yeah, I eventually just gave up. I did actually buy the OLED model, but I gave up and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to play it now, because if it's not coming this year, it's going to be in like 3 years. And it has been a long time since the Nintendo Switch 1 released back in 2017. Well, the OLED was going to be a good enough reason for me to finally play Breath of the Wild, and I absolutely loved the game. And then Tears of the Kingdom came around and I thought, you know what, Switch 2 might be on the horizon. So the same thing happened again, where I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet. I even bought the Master Collection, like collector's edition, and I just knew it's going to be sat there. So the hardware is obviously a lot more powerful. They're stating that it's going to be around 10 times more powerful. I don't believe that like in raw figures. That's what Nvidia said. This is using a new Nvidia chip inside, which does have capabilities for ray tracing, and we're going to say it's going to have DLSS style upscaling, which is what I've said for years now. That is what this thing needs to get a sort of low power device to be able to get high quality visuals. You're going to need to go from a very small resolution and upscale it, and Nvidia is like the top of its game when it comes to using DLSS, especially with the newer versions now. So this is what I always had in mind for the Switch 2 ever since the announcements or the rumors of the Switch Pro. So am I going to be picking one up on day one? I didn't get the Switch 1 on day one. Previous to that, I did get the Wii U and the Wii on day one, and you know what, I had a great time with them. And I think this time around I am actually going to pick up the Switch 2 on day one. If I can get my hands on one. I haven't pre-ordered one yet. I am going to wait till a little bit closer to the time. Gives me another couple of months to be able to save up for one and get my hands on one if I can find a pre-order. But one of the main reasons I am going to be picking this up early as well is because of these games I've had in my collection I've been waiting to play, and now with the Switch 2 enhanced editions of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, I think this is going to be enough for me to jump in day one, and that's going to be like my main game along with Mario Kart Worlds. So here is just a few examples of games that I've been waiting to see Switch 2 hardware, to see if I'm eventually going to be able to play these at a better resolution or frame rate. So that's been one of my big hopes for the Switch 2, is that with the 1080p screen and the upgraded hardware, that we do actually get to play like the docked version of the Switch 1 games on the handheld itself, because there was quite a vast difference, I thought, when you played a game on your TV in the dock. Like the resolution performance seemed to be a lot better in a lot of games. So I think that would be a killer IP for me if I was able to do that and play Metroid Dread 1080p 60 frames, or we know we're going to be getting this at like 1440p on the docked version, so I'm expecting the handheld to look awesome as well. So this is my main reason, which is strange to say, is a lot of Switch 1 games my main reason for picking up a Switch 2 on day one, because I really want to finally get the best version of Tears of the Kingdom without having to emulate or do something illegal. So it's been confirmed, I believe, that if you are trying to buy just the upgraded version of Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, you have to pay a one-off £10 be to unlock that version, which I mean, it's a little bit shady in a way. It depends on what work has actually been done to these games. I mean, if they've just unlocked the frame rate and unlocked the resolution, then yeah, maybe this should have been a free update. But if they've gone in and changed the features, like the textures and like the way the foliage moves and the HDR, that's all taking them a lot of effort, then yeah, I can imagine £10 is not too much to pay for that. But if you are a member of the Nintendo Switch Online with the expansion pass, like the more premium version of Nintendo Switch Online, you do actually get these two games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and a few other games. I think Super Mario Odyssey is also on that list as well. And I believe you can actually upgrade these all for free if you have the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. So I think it's probably going to work out in my favor just to pick up that for 12 months and have access to these games. And if I feel like I don't want it after a year, I can just pay the £10 upgrade fee, I guess. So I'm looking at a list of the launch titles here, and it seems to be quite a lot in terms of like third-party titles that I am somewhat interested in. With Nintendo, it's always been, this is going to be my first party device only. I will buy everything that I want as a first party game, like your Marios, your Zeldas. Everything else I typically buy on the PC or the PlayStation. So it's going to be more of a niche experimental console, I think, for trying out games like Cyberpunk. I really do want to see how Cyberpunk does run on the Switch 2, and like with the other versions that CD Projekt Red have brought out, you usually can have cross save between different platforms, so it would make sense. I mean, I do have a Steam Deck as well, which I can play it on, but I guess it would be interesting to check it out. But I'm hoping third-party games do drop in price considerably in comparison to the first-party games, which never ever tend to drop in price, which is one thing we know as the Nintendo tax. So I've got a list of a few titles here that are going to be coming out. So we have Split Fiction also on the Switch 2. Now, if you can play this with just like one of the Joy-Cons each, I think that would be great, because you can have it on the TV or even on the screen. You can just take a Joy-Con each and play the game on one screen. I think that would be a really cool way to do it. They do have the feature where you can use a game card or a virtual game card to share a game with another player, and I think that's awesome too. I'm not sure how the game will look visually compared to some of the other next generation versions of the game, but I think Split Fiction is actually a game that would work really well on the Switch. We have Hitman World of Assassination coming to the Switch 2. Originally it was only a cloud version on the Switch 1, obviously because it's a very good looking game. So I've been playing that game on the PSVR 2, if you just seen one of my previous videos, having a great time with that. I have that game like 4 times, and I mean, if I could find that on a good deal, which they tend to do drop in price quite quick in those games, I would love to check that one out on the Switch 2 and just to be able to jump in handheld in bed and just jump in and have a quick mission on it. I think that's like a perfect game for handheld actually. We have Yakuza 0 coming to the Switch 2. Now I've played a little bit of this on the Steam Deck and it runs perfect on there, so this isn't one that I would typically be picking up myself. The one that stands out in here is the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Now this is something similar to what we had with Astro's Playroom on the PS5, which was free by the way, and it was essentially a little game where you played as Astrobot and you learnt the mechanics and the physics and some of the information about the console itself. And it seems like they're doing the same thing here with Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour, where you get to figure out like some of the hardware of the system, figure out what all the controls do, figure out about the Joy-Cons and all the different features. But the difference here is it's a paid game, and I don't think that is a very good idea. I don't see many people picking this up. This definitely should have been a bundled in free game. If they could change their mind on this, that would be great for people, because I don't think it's going to go down well. People will buy it, unfortunately, but this definitely should have been a packing game, because it's all about the excitement of that first day experience when you pick up your console. You'd be wanting to jump in there and test it out and just learn about the Switch 2, and having to go in the store and then go and buy it, I think that's not a great thing, I don't think. Another game that I'm quite interested in checking out on the Switch 2 as well is Kunitsugami, I think I've pronounced that correctly, Path of the Goddess. This is the new Capcom game, which is like a sort of tower defense game. I played a little bit of it on Game Pass and Xbox. I never got into it because I was just wanting to test it out, but I think this is also a good game that will work really well on the handheld, and hopefully it does well. And yeah, because that's one of the smaller new IPs that Capcom have made, so hopefully it makes some money on the Switch too. Speaking of Capcom, we also have Street Fighter 6 on there as well. Now I'm tempted to play that as well on there, but I already have it on PS5, which I still haven't played, so I mean it'd be pretty stupid for me to pick that up full price when I already have the PS5 version. But that's the thing about the Switch, it's like this new way of playing, or it was when the Switch 1 came out. It's like you wanted to double dip and buy all your games just because you could lie in bed and play them, where nowadays with all these different PC handhelds and the PlayStation Portal, you can pretty much play any of your games handheld if you wanted to in a manner of different ways. So a little bit of that flair is lost, but with this being a new, exciting, more powerful console, yeah, there is that thought in the back of my head which makes me want to kind of triple dip on some of these games, but I will try and hold back because these games are not cheap these days. So I am going on a bit of a tangent here on all of this because I haven't scripted this video. I haven't really put any plot line to this video, what I really wanted to get out. I just wanted to talk about the Switch 2, my thoughts on it, and there are some games that have been announced to be coming out on it. Elden Ring is coming to the Switch 2. Now, if they can get that thing looking real good, playing at 1080p and 60 frames, then yeah, I would probably be interested in double dipping on that game. But one game that really stood out to me was the Dusk Bloods from Software. When they first showed that trailer off, I was in two minds whether if this was like a spiritual successor to Bloodborne, a Bloodborne 2 sequel being announced on the Switch first. Yeah, my emotions were getting a bit crazy when I was watching that trailer, and it does look very Bloodborne. Apparently it is a little bit more of a multiplayer game like Elden Ring Night Rain, but I'm very, very interested in that. Unfortunately, it's not coming out till 2026, so there's a lot of games that are coming in the future which you might want to wait until they are approaching before you do pick up a Switch 2. So for me, I would like to get the Switch 2 because I would love to cover it on the channel. Obviously, it's a little bit different when you want to get some videos out there and get some traction on your content as well. Whereas if you were just someone who is not a creator, just plays games, just wants to check out the Mario Kart game or whatever's coming out on the Switch, more of a casual gamer, or if you're buying this for your kids, I don't think there's much incentive to pick this up day one. But like we said with the Nintendo tax, these games tend to not drop in price. So if you're looking for those first party titles, I mean, and if you've got the cash spare, there's probably no difference from you buying this day one and in 12 months time. But don't take my word for it, you never know what's down the line. I'm sure we will see a Nintendo Switch 2 Lite at some point, and eventually the OLED model. So that's one last thing I will want to mention as well, is I was very disappointed when we first heard the rumors of the Switch 2 not having an OLED screen. It kind of felt like a step backwards to me, but from all of the hands-on and things people have been saying and some of the footage I've been watching of it, it actually does look like a pretty good LCD. It's 120 Hz, has BRR built into it, so it seems like they've done like the very best of making this like a great LCD panel with the HDR looking really bright as well. So I think I'm willing to let it slide and pick one of these up. And I mean, yeah, I probably will upgrade to an OLED model down the line. I can pass my other one over to someone else or sell it. So yeah, it's not all of a loss. One of those FOMO things also, you want to be there day one to get in with the excitement. I like to do that with consoles. I've done it. It's been harder and harder to do that these days with the rising cost of everything, but I don't think the price for this is too overpriced for what it is compared to some of the other PC hardwares like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. Obviously the Ally X is going to be a lot more powerful than this, but you're just having the plug and play experience of the Switch, and obviously the Switch exclusives. It depends where you want to go with your gaming, where you want to go with your money and your time. So these are my thoughts on the Switch 2. I want to know your thoughts on all of this down below. Are you going to be picking one up? What are you excited to play? Are you outraged by the pricing of the games and the console? Just let me know either way, if it's good or bad. I would like to know your thoughts in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next video.